Hi, thank you so much for joining me today. This is Jenny Oya with Nuggets and Things. I pray that you have an awesome day thus far. I want to share a little bit with you concerning being preventive, preventive measures, preventive care. A lot of times we are jumping into things as an intervention, right? Because something has already happened. Now we're trying to change what has happened and to make it better. But prevention would mean that you prepare yourself before it happens. You know that it's a possibility it could happen. So what can I do to prevent it from happening? um, when I think maybe 15 years ago, I was teaching a program in schools. I would go into schools and teach young ladies from the age of 12 to 14. And this program that I taught was teaching young ladies how to prepare themselves for what's about to come, right? And a lot of times we thought that our children were being maybe taught different things inside the home, but as we now know, you know, um, our home life situations have changed. Where it used to be, the mother was in the home doing thus and thus, how it used to be. Now, the mother she's out working, and so the father's working, the mother's working, or it's a single family home. Whatever the issue may be, then who is raising the children? Who is teaching the children, the guidelines and teaching them the things they need to know to prepare them for what's outside those doors, right? Our children are going through so many things, the bullying in school, the peer pressure. Before they even get to middle school, they're being approached by so many things. It's happening even in the elementary schools. So what I wanted to do was go into the schools and hopefully give them a head start. I wanted to give young ladies a head start on life, right? I know you're saying, well, what about the guys? Well, I can only do, I ain't one person. But the program, it was designed for the young ladies because, as we all know, it is the young ladies who will come home pregnant, not the guys. So, trying to teach the young ladies how to prepare themselves, what to do, because a lot of them don't know. You know, when your hormones are wide open and you've been approached by so many people you don't know what to do and how to do it. I was amazed when I taught this class. I was amazed by how many young ladies didn't know the proper way and how to even bathe themselves, right? And I had to get down to the nitty gritty and teach young ladies how to properly bathe themselves, you know, um, and the importance of bathing every single day. Every single day. You, as a young lady, must make sure that you're clean, right? Yes, it's important, and it's preventive. But what I share with them, and I want you to hopefully help somebody else with this little bit of information that I have to help other young ladies, maybe granddaughters, maybe children, maybe even help with a program that you're trying to design to help our young ladies to have a clear understanding the value of their bodies, because our young ladies don't value their bodies. They don't value what they have, right? It, they're not trained or taught, so they give it away like it's going out of style, like it's not going to be here tomorrow. So what I taught them was, imagine the day you were born, you were worth $1 million. $1 million. So now you holding a card. You hold a card that says, I am worth $1 million. That's a card. Y'all know about debit cards and credit cards. Well, that's your card. You have a card that says, this is my worth. This is my value. Okay? So imagine you're valued at $1 million the day that you were born. That means you're basically priceless, right? You can't put a tab on you. Now, that's the day you were born. Now, what happens in your life that causes your value to depreciate? That cause you not to be able to believe your value anymore? How many times are you giving your card away? And every time you give your card away, you devalue what you were worth. Like a car, right? Everybody knows, or you should know, the day you buy a car, I don't care if that car will cost you $80,000. That car cost you $80,000 the day you bought it. The moment your back tire went off that parking lot, your back tire, that back tire go off that parking lot, it has already depreciated by thousands of dollars. You're still paying $80,000 for it though, but it's not valued as that because it wasn't valued as that in the beginning. They just put the value on that to get you to purchase it. Right? We all know that. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is you must understand the value that has been placed in your life. You cannot allow someone to take that and this is carelessly be passing out your car. So I told young ladies, I said, listen, every time you give your card away, you have said, you can take my worth, you can take my value, right? Now, just think about by the time you get into the 10th grade, what's your value now? How much you worth? So the young ladies were thinking, right? And they raised their hand and they started saying, what they thought they was worth from the $1 million. But all I wanted to do was get them to thinking. I want them to think, to understand that if you understand now your value, if you understand now, what you are worth, what you can do, because you're so priceless. You're priceless. And once you realize that you're priceless, you don't be so easily ready to share and give to someone what you have, because now you know the value of it. Our problem is we don't understand or know the value that we have. We don't believe it. And if you don't believe it, guess what? You carelessly give it away, right? So the preventive care is, how can I take care of myself? How can I take care of me? That when someone else sees me, talks to me, or approaches me, they understand first of all, I know my value. And because I know my value, I'm not so easy to give it away. Because you got to know that. You know how somebody try to talk you down from what you say? You're trying to sell your car. You're trying to sell your car for $25,000. And somebody says, hey, I'll give you $17,000 for it right now, cash right here on hand. Now, they either trying to underestimate your knowledge of what you think you have, or they're looking at, they know the value of it, but they're hoping you don't, and that you're desperate enough, hungry enough that you'll take that. But you have to be able to stand on what you know you're worth. And when you know that you're worth something, you don't be so easily to give that away, because every time you do, you take down your value, right? And sometimes, this is sometimes, and I know it happens, maybe more times than we want it to. There are times that someone takes your card. You know how it is when someone has hacked into your account. Someone has, taken money from you, stolen from you. And there are times that someone has stolen from you. So you didn't give it away, somebody took it from you. And some of you know where I'm going. And when someone takes something from you, right? What you had as $1 million, somebody took from you and maybe took the price down. There was a movie called, I wish I could think of it right now. Sounds of, oh goodness gracious, I wish I had it. Mel Gibson did a movie. Anyway, he did this movie that they tried to silence this movie. They didn't want the movie to go to the box office, because the movie talked about, about sex trafficking, and it talked about how people were doing other things, right, to children. This is what's happening to our children. And when this happens to our children, they steal not just the child's lifetime and their value, but they also steal, their security. They steal their mental state, their emotional stance, and they never be the same. How can you? How can you be the same when someone has taken something from you, violated what you had, take it from you, and there's no way they can put it back? If you go into a store and you take a candy bar that didn't belong to you, and the owner says, put it back. And you put the candy bar back. They didn't lose anything because you replaced it back where it was. You never bit off of it. You know, you never got it out the store. It's never been tampered with. So it's still the same value. You put it back. But there's some things you take from someone, they can't put it back. That's done. And what it does to the person that you're taking it from changes their whole life and has devalued them, not because they wanted to, because someone else has done it. And what I have found out, and I also try to teach, is if someone has taken from you as a child, right? And when they have violated you in a, you know, molestation, incest, whatever you want to call it, right? And there's so many values to those names that we can name different things. But anyway, that happens to you as a child. The person who done that opened a door that you're not even aware of has been opened. And that door that they opened was open prematurely. It was not supposed to be open at that time, right? So at 5, 4, 7, 12, someone has opened your door that was not supposed to be open. So what they did was open you up for other things to happen, because when it happens, it spiritually opens you up to other things. Some people turn to drugs. Some people turn to sex. Some people, you know, turn, you know, to different mental breakdowns, you know, states, because it affects you. Now, the person who violated it may not be affected, but sometimes they are. Suppose that person is affected, and then they infect you with what they're affected with. They have low self-esteem. So by them violating you, they push that spirit to you, and now you have low self-esteem. And we can go to a deeper measure one day. It's not today, though, right? Because I want to show you about how things can be preventive sometimes, and then what to do when it happens, and you couldn't prevent it, but how can you prevent them from going into a less a place? How can you help them? Because this has happened, right? So now you're doing an intervention because it has happened, right? It's happened, and now you need to intervene so that it doesn't get worse or doesn't happen again. And how can you protect the child from anything else going into the mind, the spirit, or the body, because they have been infected, right? Right? So what I taught to these young ladies, first of all, I taught them their worth. What you're worth. I don't care what nobody told you. I don't care what your mother has said. I don't care what your father has said. I don't care who's raising you have said to you. If it's all in a negative way, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you today, you're worth. You're worth $1 million. I'm telling you that. That's your value. Write it down on a piece of paper. Let me see how many zeros you're going to put on there. And so I had them write. This is what you're worth. Put a dollar sign in front of it. I want you to see the value of who you are. Despite anything else, this is who you are. Now, remember that. No matter who says anything different, no matter what happens, this is your value. This is your value, right? Now, just imagine this is what you're worth. Now, you got a card. I'm just giving it to you. Here's your card. Now, you choose how many times you're going to use your card, because it's yours. That's your card. How many times you're going to use it. Now, I'm not talking about those who try to take from you or have stolen from you. I'm talking about you voluntarily giving out your card, right? Because you don't understand, you know, what you do when you send out your card. You know, you don't understand it. So I'm trying to get you to have an understanding of it. so that you will be more conscious of what you do. So I'm talking to these 12 to 14-year-old young ladies, teaching them value of their body, the value of their minds, the value of their spirit, and their mental state. 12 to 14. So when the time they're 20, they'll have something in a basket that they can carry and say, I remember this, right? And this is trying to prevent you from becoming a statistic as a young, pregnant young girl in the 7th, 8th, 9th grade. I'm trying to prevent that by teaching you something that you may not have heard before. And 90% of those young ladies that sat in that class was like eyes big because they hadn't heard it before, right? They wasn't taught this. No one sat down and said this to them. How to take value of yourself. How? And then stand on that. Don't let nobody take that from you. You know, believe that. Believe it's who you are. And when you believe that, be careful of anyone who wants to devalue you. You're going to meet somebody. You know, they're going to tell you how beautiful you are. They're going to tell you how much they love you. But now when they try to get your card, that's your card. When they try to get your card, right? You need to think twice about giving your card away. You know, how long you want to keep your value good? You know? Where you want to go in life? You want to go to college? You want to finish school? You want to, go out to art school? What is it you want to do? Find that out. And then you bring that to them. Remind them of that. Now, I'm talking to 12 to 14-year-old girls now. I'm not talking to grown women. This is young ladies. But I'm talking to them because I know there's a woman in each every one of them. There's a woman there is waking up. And I need to prepare her for what's out there waiting for her card. You know, and they're not waiting for her to turn 18. They're not waiting for her to turn 16. They're waiting for her to just say yes. To be vulnerable enough, or to be, as they hopefully, blind enough, closed-minded enough, silly enough to just recklessly give out their cards. And some of those young ladies came back to me when they got grown, and they said, Miss Jenny, you remember you taught that class at such a thing? I said, yeah, I remember. So I never forget that. I said, oh, I'm so glad, because some of them took it to heart and they cherished it. Some of them didn't. You can't save everybody, but you can help most. Prevention. Prevention is so important in our lives. Meeting people. We meet people in different sectors of their life, right? We meet them. But you don't know where they've been. Before you met them, you have no idea where they've been. None. We only know where we've been. We don't know where they've been. And sometimes they're not even going to tell you because they are still ashamed of where they have been taken. I'm a volunteer for children that have been neglected, abused, or need to be emancipated. So I go into the court system and advocate for children. So you see why my passion is so strong for them. But I've seen things, and it helps me to understand how to step in situations that need to be stepped into. But then I'm talking to grown people who never got a chance to grow up, right? The way that they should have, because they were forced into, another life, right? Before they was ready. And y'all understand that, right? So when you meet people, you meet them and you like them, be a little patient. Be a little patient. If someone, is not as quick as you are to the draw, or they may be too quick for the draw, understand something. That's your card. That's your card. male or female, that's your card. You say, this is where I'm ready to go. And this is the reason why I'm ready to do this. Whatever it is. Right? Because people have been on some journeys, honey. Some journeys before they saw you, before they met you. And when, they meet you, sometimes they don't want you to know about their journey. Sometimes they, try to prevent you from ever seeing that journey. Sometimes they'll share it with you, if it's given time. But you got to understand, when you come into their life and you understand the places they've been, the things they have seen, the people they know, right? Where you gonna go from there? Where you gonna go? What you gonna do? Because life has ways of showing us so many things. And one of the things that life doesn't do sometimes is prepare us for adulthood. And then when we become an adult, we are so reckless because we just couldn't wait to see that age and never understood the responsibility of what it meant. That's why we have children raising children so much. And if a child is raising a child, how much wisdom would that child get when that child never grew up before they got this child? And why is that child raising a child? Ooh, the things, honey, that goes on in people's houses. You're talking to somebody who had to go in them. I had to go in these houses, to rescue children, to help them, to make sure they're in the right place, doing the right thing. Things are happening. And our job is, what can we do to prevent things from happening? How can we help somebody? Because if we're here, we have responsibility to help somebody get there. Right? Whether it's your child, grandchild, nephew, aunt, the child next door, or the helpless one you're going to meet tomorrow. Right? We're trying to get them to a better place. Because we know where we are. And we wish, y'all, that we had somebody, pumping us with this kind of information, was making sure we was guided the right way and on that right path. And some of you have had that, and I salute again to you, but some of us did not. And because of that, we made some bad decisions, throwing cars everywhere. But then once you realize what you are, who you are, the responsibilities of where you're supposed to be, you do things differently, or you're supposed to. Most of our life, we go through life doing intervention, changing things that's already happened. I don't know why I'm this way, but now I need to change it. Instead of doing preventive, I don't even want to get that way. What can I do to prevent myself from being that person, from becoming that? That's what I like to know. Instead of getting there and wondering how to get out of it, right? I'm caught up now. Back in the 70s, the hippie time was up in the 60s, people been hippies, it was all about the hallucinating drugs, right? It's, oh man, groovy, man, everything was groovy. And it's like groovy, man, everything, because everybody was like, not everybody, but being high was a thing, peace, man, it's peace, it's just, that was the world. Woodstock, right? And then another stage comes in. And each stage, things change. Right? And then with our children that's coming in today, the millenniums and, the Generation X, all these different names they give them, right? In each generation, they're giving them less hope. They're giving them less hope to survive. Because the obstacles that are set up around them, it's harder for them to come out of it. Children who come into a circle, an environment, right? Because you have so many activities that's going on. You have drugs. You got gang activities. You got sexual things that's going on. You got, I mean, and everything is available to you. Right? The www, the worldwide, you know, whatever it is. Right? You got internet. You got YouTube. You got TikTok. You got, you name it. You got all this stuff that's available for your child. Your 5-year-old child, your 6-year-old child who you gave a phone to and a tablet. You know, and say, you only can go on this, but they have, you know, come on now. These children, and the most scariest thing for me, and when I was raising my second set of children, I was raising, they be in the room with their little phones and stuff, and this is what I would do, see, because I'm old school. This is what I would do. They in the room on their little phones, and you know, talking to somebody on, I think it was MySpace then or something like that, way back. And every once in a while, what I would do, I would call them all into the room. I said, everybody come into the room, and you know, they ain't had time to do nothing but come. Because when I call them, we ain't talking about, I'll be there in a minute. Oh, what's that? Who they talking to? They're gonna be there in a minute. When I call them to the room, I need to hear feet moving. When they come to the room, I said, okay, lay your phone up on the table. And y'all go back to your room. And they were shaking. They laid the phone on the table. I said, now, if you got them locked, I need you to unlock your phone. I need to look through your phone. I need to see what kind of pictures you got on your phone. I need to see where you've been on your phone. I need to see what you've been talking to on your phone. I said, open your phone up. Because guess what? I paid for them phones. They're my phones. They're my phones. I'm letting you use my phones. Put them on the table. They said, oh, that's violating a child's privacy. I'm paying for them phones. They're my phones. It's like that room they sleep in. It's mine. They just get a chance to use it. Hey. See, some people give these children too much. You give them too much leadway. Then you wonder why your child's out here acting crazy, cussing you out. You know, hitting you back. Want to fight on you. You tell them not to go and they gone. You tell them to stay and they left. You tell them to wash the dishes, they ain't did it. That's not the issue I ever had. I ain't got that kind of problem. I'm telling you, I can take $100 and put it on my table in the living room. And I can go off for the whole weekend. When I come back on Monday, that $100 is still sitting on that table. Because they know what I taught them as a child. I don't care what I put down. When I put something down, I expect to go back and find it. You don't take nothing that don't belong to you. You want something from me, you ask me for it. You don't take nothing from me. I can put it down. And every one of my children, my oldest son is 45 years old, he can tell you. Anything I put down in my house, and I don't care who walks around my house, grandchildren too. You don't touch nothing that don't belong to you. Because see, I'm old school. See, it ain't about, like, oh, little John, little Johnny better know how to act. And you, my grandkids know the same thing. When you come to my house, I don't care what you do at home. You don't be jumping across my furniture. I don't play it. No, that's not your furniture. You don't jump on my furniture because your mama can't pay for it. So don't jump on my furniture. You don't do this, you don't do that. And you said, they probably don't want to come to your house. My grandchildren cry to come to my house because they know that's what the love is. They know it. But they know I don't play either now. So I lay that phone down. I tell them go to the room. They be shaking trying to get to that room. Oh Lord, mercy, oh Lord, mercy. I don't even go through the phone. I call them back in the room about a half an hour later. I said, so you want to tell me what's on your phone? I said, and now tell me, am I happy about what I saw on your phone? That's how I talk to them. No, ma'am. Why? Because I did something. And they start, they start spilling the beans. I ain't even been in it, right? So they start talking. I said, so what you going to do now? I'm going to raise it. What else you going to do? And they start talking to me, right? But this is how I raise my children. I raise my children to know at any given time, whatever you have, it's still mine. And because I paid for it. That's mine. And as long as you don't need that little domain called my home, that's mine. and I can ask for it anytime I want to. In that room, I can walk in there anytime I want to, and open any drawer I want to in your room. Oh, I just think you're so. Well, honey, do what you want to do. But guess what? Let me tell you a story, and it's gonna be a short one, honey, because time is getting short. Let me tell you a story, because I prevent things from happening to me. You can't name not one of my children who even thought about trying to jack me up. Not one of them. And I had sons that was 6'2". That was a no-go. They never thought about it. Never even said it. Never had, not even stuttered like they wanted. Ooh, I remember my son he might have been 17 years old. He might have been 17 and about 6'1" probably. He could have been 18. And I said something to him one day, and he was walking away, and he mumbled. And I walked up behind him. I said, "What you just say to me?" He turned around. His eyes got right big. I had him jacked up against the wall so quick. I mean, I had him up off his heels. And I told him, I said, "Let me tell you something. Don't you ever mumble when I'm talking to you." I said, "Don't you ever think that you're grown enough to take me." That's what I told him. I said, "I will throw you through this glass window. And I will come out on the glass you broke and beat your tail again. Call 911 and tell them come and get you, because they got a body down here. And then they need to go ahead and call the state because I just abused you." I said, "But you will not talk to me any kind of way." Tears flew down his eyes. And he was calling himself grown. I ain't never had a problem with him. The rest of them heard about it. They saw it because they were in the house, and they passed the word down to all the rest of them. The second set knew better. And y'all say, "Oh, Lord have mercy, that is terrible." Hi, say what you want to say. But them children I got, and I raised 7. 11 if you talk about my stepchildren. I raised every last one of them. And I love them. I love everything I got. They can get anything from me. They can call me right now and say, "Can I get this?" I would send it to them right now because I love them. But they will not disrespect me, and they will not challenge me, because I am their mama. Period. And they is not my daddy or my mama. And so when I say something, it's not to be questioned. Just do it. You know, I prevented my tail from being sitting in the hospital and talking about what happened to you. "Oh, my son choked me. He choked me so bad. My daughter punched me in my stomach, and she black." I raised them when they were young. I don't play that. Even when they were little, if I popped their hand and they popped my hand back, I popped their hand harder to let them know, "Don't you ever put your hands on me." See, I started when they were little. By the time they were 2 years old, they know we can play all kinds of games, honey. But you would never play a game that you're allowed to hit me. See, preventive, honey. That way, when they got older, you start playing hit. And when they're young, they try to hit when they get about 10. And by the time they're 14 years old, they want to hit again. Oh, no, I will clock them. No. So, there's all kinds of ways you can prevent things from happening. You got to make up your mind. Some things is just off. No, we don't do them, right? And so when I'm teaching those young ladies, and I teach young men too, right? Because, honey, I raised some boys to turn them into men. I raise them. And there's certain things they know they can and cannot do. Even when it's talking about you dating a young lady, I tell them how to, no, that's not good. I said, "That's your woman, treat her like she's your woman." I said, "No, that's not no-go for you." And I would tell her, "Don't let him do that." "Mama, you my mama." I said, "I know who I am." But that young lady needs to know how a man's supposed to treat her. And what you're doing is off. And she need to find somebody else besides you, not tell her. And y'all probably say I'm hard, but that's how I do. That's just who I am. All right. So anyway, learning preventive measures, because it's important that if you can prevent something from happening, do that. Because it's harder when you're doing intervention, Because now it's already happening. You're trying to change it, which can be done. But it's so much better if you just prevent it from happening from the gate. Okay? You have a fabulous day. Hear my birdies? You have a fabulous day. It's awesome. Let your light forever shine. This is Jenny Oya with Nuggets and Things. You have a fabulous moment. Be great to yourself. Take notes and be better. Blessings.